So, what would be really great is if we could get like a sort of a timeline of the actual film, like
Yeah.
when things happen, and so I could sort of so like for instance when they're walking through the woods, I'd know how long that piece lasted, but
Yeah.
so it could change.
For well, assuming that I can cut and manipulate the timeline of your music. So, for example, if I was to be given something that was 5 minutes long, I can do what I need to do.
Right.
If I'm given something longer than I can use, that's always great. The timeline I would anticipate the first piece of work, which would be the vehicle driving, and then finishing his driving, and then the tool shed scene. If that piece of work, if that whole piece lasts, say, 3.5, 4 minutes, then
Right.
I can cut it to what I need, which will probably be about 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes, something like that. And then the walking through the woods scene and the discussions as they walk through the woods might last 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes. So again, there might be something.
Because there's going to be like individual changes in that particular.
In the woods scene, I can let you know what the dialogue is, so that you know maybe what those changes would be.
Right.
So what I'll do, I will get a script sent over to you,
Okay.
so that you know, and I'll highlight in it in a different colour what was going on there, so you know,
Okay.
although it's got their dialogue, you know kind of what's happening. And then as they leave the woods, that would probably last 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, end credits, that kind of thing.
I understand the part where you say about making like a 5-minute piece so you can chop it. That'll
Yeah.
work perfectly for the first and last
Yeah.
sections, but the middle one is a lot more sort of intricate character work.
Yeah. There's 2 major parts within that middle section. Well, there's actually 3 main parts. There's them walking through the woods and discussing death, which could be quite, sinister, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Hansel and Gretel style. And then they come to some trees that Toby plays on, and those trees are fire engines and lighthouses and windsurfers. They're all happy trees, so that could be a bit of happy music there. But then as they walk further into the woods, those trees become black scorpions, hairy monsters, twisted monsters, so that could become darker.
So like that's the particular section.
Mm.
Like maybe a little bit more of an idea of timing would be a bit important,
Right.
quite important.
I'll give you a timeline for those specific things, so that you know if your piece of work is 3 minutes long, at minute 1 or at second 45, they're at that tree.
That'd be great,
and they're
yeah.
discussing that tree for 20 seconds or whatever. I'll make sure that you have that, so that it
Okay.
meets that.
Just to make the transition of the music flow with the actual visuals. That'd be great, yeah.
Great. And timeline, I mean, I'll get that over to you in the next couple of days,
Okay.
so that you've got everything there. You've got all my details, so we can communicate if there's anything you need. And then it might be worth giving me like a little snippet of it or whatever before, because although our final work needs to be in by, I think it's the 13th or whatever of December, we have to do like a rough proof
Yeah.
a week or so before.
And then when we've actually got a demo of the music, we can discuss the actual music a bit more.
Yeah.
Sort of if you want it more or less anything or.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Smashing.
Happy with that.
That's a fear of loss. Thank you very much.